We're heading into essentially an off season now. 2 months, almost 2 months, no Serie A. 15 match days into the Serie A, and then we get this big break, the break that nobody wanted. World Cup right in November, whatever. Calcio Guys, Adriano, Gianni, I'm Nicholas, and joining us this week, Stef Cioffi, our friend from Toronto, part of Napoli Club Toronto, huge Napoli fan. I think it's perfect time to have a Napoli fan on, first in the table. 9 points up on Milan, I believe it is, 8 or 9 points. Steph, how's it going?
Good. As long as Napoli's doing good, I'm good.
You let your emotions
Johnny
be
smiling.
controlled by sports. Classic. Steph, I mean, we'll get right into it because we've had you on before. Last time we had you on was February. So it seems like a long time ago for Napoli because just so many changes, right? Since then, so many players coming and going. Obviously, the fantastic summer transfer they had. For, as I said, first place. Just like, how are you feeling, man? Like, well, I know you said you're happy, but like, give us your thoughts on this first part of the season.
Well, so far it's been amazing, but I have to say I'm like pretty shocked because I didn't have like when all these transfers were in the summer, I wasn't sure how they were gonna like play together or how quickly they would like break into the team. But so far I have to say like I've been really impressed. This is like by far, in my opinion, the best Napoli I've seen play in my lifetime at least. And yeah, so like this first half of the season has been like just perfect. There's nothing, no complaints about it.
Johnny, you want to elaborate on that?
I mean, the best Napoli I've ever seen. For him, sure. For me, it's because I always have a soft spot for the whole Lavezzi and Hamsik and Cavani days. But that's just me personally. It's not much. Like, I'm pretty sure if we compare this squad to that squad, this squad would definitely beat that team. But the offense in that team was also on fire. So it would be an interesting matchup, but I think the defense that we have compared to that team is much, much better. So yes, it is arguably the best Napoli we've probably seen in our lifetimes. I'm excited for it. 15 games in, and they're still riding that high. So the World Cup break coming up might be good for them, but I also might slow things down. I don't know. It remains to be seen.
And Nick, I think I'm pretty sure we've got a question concerning that actually with this international break coming up. Before we get into the questions, Steph, perfect start like you said, but no complaints. There's nothing going wrong in Naples. Is this? And I know you said you're shocked. Maybe some other fans wouldn't say that. Maybe some will. I don't know. But is this? And I don't want to be like the sour apple in all this, but is this Napoli team overachieving? Would you say? Is this kind of where you think they can be with the quality that they do have? Because it's clear that they do have quality, and it's showing not only in Serie A but also in Europe. Is this kind of just like early season, kind of good times, or is this something that can last, come down the stretch of the season?
But yeah, I think it's going to continue to last because I think the main big difference is the depth we have in the squad now as compared to like before other seasons were like thin if we lost players. Like even throughout the season, we've already faced those tests like of playing without Kvara, playing without Osimhen, and it's just like there's like a next man up mentality and everything's like totally fine. Like when Kvara's been out, Elmas has been performing very well in that spot. Just last game, he had that goal and assist. And same thing with the Osimhen when he was out. Simeone and Raspadori were doing great. And the depth I think is like a really big difference in the squad. And I would say they're achieved. Like if you look at their squad, the only concern I had more was I knew there was quality in those players like Kim and Kvara, but more how quickly it would take them to like settle in, because we've seen players first year do poor and eventually build into their role.
We did get quite a few questions, Steph. So we'll go through them. I'm happy that we did Calcio Guys on Instagram and Twitter. If anybody doesn't follow us yet, because I do like when people send us questions because everyone always has creative questions, and I like this one from Pizza Calcio, and I'll kind of give an opinion on it after, but I wanna hear your opinion, Steph. Does the break help or hurt them in your opinion?
Like it's to be seen, of course, but I would say like for Napoli's squad in particular, I think the break may help because it just gives more time for those players to train together and kind of recover. Because like in these last 2 months, 3 months, like they played so many games, so I think the break is like needed, especially the way there's been like some weeks 3 games in a row, and we had like Kvara hurt, and also I'm not too worried about injury just due to the fact there's like 5 players going to the World Cup for Napoli, and most of those players have like suitable backups behind them. Besides, I guess you would say Kim, but everyone else is like most of them are not like main starters. So I mean, it's to be seen. Like it could slow them down possibly, but I think they'll be good coming back into the break. But I can say like maybe first game back it might be a little bit slow.
Johnny, I don't know if you. Sorry, Nick, to cut you off. I kind of wanted to get Johnny's thought on that too before we kind of kick in there because I think this is a question that can kind of go around.
Yeah.
Johnny, I don't know if you caught the question, but
is it about the international break for
this break, the World Cup break? Is it going to slow Napoli down? Is it going to help them in any way? What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I don't see it more as Napoli being slowed down from this, but more as it gives the competition time to rest up and catch up. We could see that Juventus has recently got into top 4 and they have 5 wins in a row in the league so far. Chiesa came back last game and he had a fantastic 35 minutes. But no, we played for 25 minutes, 30 minutes more or less. It shows that their roster is starting to come back together. And they're starting to get their pieces moving, and especially that they have to play Napoli in the first half of the season. It remains to be seen. It is a good thing for Napoli because some of the players that are on the roster won't be going to the World Cup and get a chance to relax a bit. But then there's other players that are key players for the national teams that will be attending and will be getting a lot of playing time in the World Cup. So not only will they be playing a lot during the World Cup, but when they come back, it's going to be back to reality, and they're going to get back into the heat of Serie A, but also Champions League and Coppa Italia. There's going to be a bunch of other competitions and games that they're going to have to play after that. So sure, it is a break, but for certain players, it could be dangerous. Might be a good thing though, because it might keep them informed, and because of the constant playing time, they're not going to get rusty. So could be a good thing. But I'm more worried about the competition getting the rest during the World Cup rather than Napoli getting rest right now during the World Cup break.
What I was going to say, I mean, like pretty much kind of to Johnny's points, this is almost going to be, like I said, an off season. I said this at the start. It's an off season. It's 53 days long. The break between the 2019-2020 and the 2020-21 seasons was 48 days long. So obviously that was a very short off season because of the pandemic, but goes to show, like, for players that aren't in the World Cup, this is 2 months off. And I think there's an opportunity to be there's going to be a complete, I wouldn't say turnaround for some teams, but if some teams get hot that are cold right now, or some teams get cold that are hot now, like I wouldn't be surprised. And that's what worries me as a Juventus fan. They're really hot right now. Are they going to be like that in January with 11 players going to the World Cup? We'll see. Obviously, for the players that aren't in the World Cup, it is a nice rest. But as Johnny said, you're not having playing time. But look, they're professionals. They're going to be training right at as a team right after Christmas. I don't think that should be too much of a problem. At least what I don't mind is that World Cup finishes December 18th. Serie A starts January 4th. So there's at least like 2.5 week break, whatever it is. and that's if your team, your player goes to the final. Half the tournament is eliminated first week of December, so that's a month break for those guys. So at least at that point it'll be. I'm not too worried about injuries about that, So we'll see. We'll see. It's something we've never seen, right? So, and at the end of the day, all 20 teams in the city are going to be in the same boat. Of course, the lower end teams don't have players in the World Cup, but they still need to take a 2-month break, and they're not going to be playing for 2 months. So we'll see. I don't know if you guys. I sent you guys the questions. I don't know if you guys want to look through them, ask some of the other questions, Adriano and Johnny.
Well, just to continue on this point, for Milan's sake, I think this break couldn't have come any faster, because this last couple of stretch and off what you said as well, Nick, Juve has been hot. Johnny said it, the past 5 games they've won all of them. Milan has kind of struggled before coming to this break, games where they shouldn't have dropped points, games where it didn't have to come down to a 90 something minute own goal to get you the 3 points. So I think it can help and potentially hurt most squads at the top, because it's those top teams that are sending quite a few players. I think I saw today, Juve has the most with 11. Next up is Milan and Inter with 7. Napoli with 4 or 5, like Stef said. So we'll have to wait and see. I think it's really a waiting game to see what will happen with all this. But I guess we'll move on to.
Wait, we need to hear Nebbia's opinion.
Sorry, I didn't see that. Sorry.
She's too busy chasing a fly in my room right now, and she jumped on top of the desk with the laptop, and I had to pick her up. I was like, no.
Red card of the week.
Yeah, red card of the week. Nebbia chasing after a fly.
All right. I guess we will move on then. There's kind of like a lot of questions, Steph, that we got, but a lot kind of have to do with the same. I don't know how I see it. It kind of has like the same type of vibe of into the question.
Well, did you ask the question from Peter yet? By the way.
You can ask that since you're
okay. So Peter basically asks, so Steph, how do you handle being so handsome? The audience wants to know. Please enlighten us. We need. You look at all 3 of us. 2 of us needs hair, and a third one is a Milanista. So we need tips on how to be handsome.
No comment, huh?
No comment. How to be handsome.
No comment.
Is the answer.
Yo, keeps it low key. You can't hate on that, man. You can't hate on it.
Man is a humble man.
I don't know if you saw, there was a few questions about the best player and all that. A few of them, so I think we could ask all ones.
So from what I see here, so Calcio with Julian, Calcio Talk. Even Pizza Calcio, their second question kind of ties into this. Anywhere, Steph, about new favorite signing, who has been the most impressive? Calcio Julian says, apart from Kvaratskhelia, who would you say has been important to this Napoli side, this new Napoli, like you said, to open the show? If I'm missing anybody else's name in there, I do apologize. Well, I don't know. I think this is your relative too, Cioffi on Instagram too, who is Napoli's most important player, right? So, all these types of questions kind of lead to the same overall topic. Maybe we can even go around. I don't know. I think maybe Johnny has something to say about that too. But we'll let you go off first, Steph, to answer all those questions.
So for my personal favorite sign has to be Kvara. He's just a special player. Like we don't see players like him very often. And for the most important player, it might not be the answer everyone has, but I would say Lobotka is probably your most important player. I mean, like when he's not in the lineup or not playing, the midfield's like totally different. The impact he has on the game is like massive. He seems to not like miss a pass. Like I was checking the stats before, and I think he has something like a 94% like success rate passing, and he's just really like the engine in the whole midfield. And I would have to say that Kim is so important in that defense. Like this year, he's probably been one of the best defenders in Europe. How he's so calm on the ball, his passing abilities going forward is something we haven't had in a long time. Like Koulibaly was great at passing, but I'd say Kim's abilities on like another level. And then even up top, like there's so many important players in the Napoli squad. I feel like there's not like one player they rely on. It's kind of like a team effort. Like we've seen, like when some of these players are down and they're gone, we're still performing well. So, and yeah, I also would give a lot of credit to Spalletti just getting all these players to like a whole nother level. Because someone like Laboca, when Gattuso was on the team, he couldn't even get into the squad, and now he seems to be like our most important player.
Johnny, anything to add to that? Maybe besides Kvara, any other names? Well, I mean, we talk to you every week, Johnny, so we kind of know your answers. But just to kind of maybe reiterate what you've liked so far out of the players this season so far.
Honestly speaking, I think an honorable shout out has to go to Lobotka. He's been playing fantastic. He's been filling in that center mid role that we needed him to do. Great ball winner, and great at distributing it whenever he can. Anguissa deserves to be get some recognition as well. As usual, like last year, he's a very important part of that mid as well. Being a great defensive mid and another ball winner that just really ties things together and allows Zielinski to sometimes take an aggressive stance on the play and not have to feel like he has to run back and cover up for lost ground. They're very responsible players. But one player that I do have to give a high regard to, besides Kvaratskhelia, that's really impressed me and has really changed my mentality on how I view him, is Mario Rui. I've always had a big, like thorn in the side when it came to him. But this year he's done a lot. His assists have been fantastic. He sees the play very well. I think he's just probably something has finally clicked in his head, or Spalletti has figured out the code and cracked it in terms of Mario Rui. So I think he is probably another player that has impressed me a lot this season.
Steph, is there anyone where you're kind of disappointed in? I know when you're first place, the way Napoli's playing, it's hard to be disappointed in anybody, but give us your thoughts about that.
If there is.
Everyone's been pretty good, but I guess you could say on that right side, a player like Politano and Lozano, they're very like on and off. Like they'll have a good game and then they'll have a game that they don't show up, which is kind of a problem. Like it's good to have both, so it doesn't always look like that. But there's been a few games where like Politano was really poor, like in the Napoli game, and then when Lozano comes on, he does great. But they're kind of like a little bit on and off. And yeah, like there's some games where someone like Lozano might miss easy chances. And then they're just like on and off players. But other than that, I can't really complain about any of all the other players.
How about Diego Demme?
I forgot he played on the club.
I thought that was your favorite player. So.
According to Danny, that's your favorite player.
Passes only.
It's funny. It's funny you say you forgot he played for Napoli, because I legitimately thought he was like loaned back to like Germany or something, because I literally just looked him up right now. I did not know he played. Has he played any games this year?
Like maybe like 5 minutes.
Yeah, according to Wikipedia, 3 games.
3 games?
There you go. I have to look at his transfer market page for the total stats.
Yeah.
I think
looking at
just to answer, because like I can get like my Napoli opinion on it. If there is one player that has to be somebody that I don't want to say has disappointed me, but has definitely somewhat regressed, Politano. I'm not saying it's not even like a bad regression. It's just he's not being utilized as much. He's not getting much playing time, so it's unfair to give him like a crap ton of blame, but I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying he's definitely been the smallest factor this season so far. We'll see what happens later on in the year.
Yeah, I think. Listen, I think there's still a lot of culture to be played. We all know that. The season is still very long. Steph, I know you know that as well. So, I guess it can kind of segue into this next question that we did get. I didn't see if it was on Instagram or on Twitter, but Christian Onorati, and I know Nabuedani, very superstitious. I understand all the southern Italian people very superstitious. I understand that. Like we all know, I think you even posted it on Twitter. I saw stuff earlier. Napoli is leading in almost all the stats, right? They're in first place, 9 points ahead of Milan right now. Going into the break, you said your thoughts about how this break would pan out for this Napoli side. I'm gonna ask the question because we got the question. Christian's asked, do you think this is finally Napoli's year to win the almighty Scudetto? If you don't want to answer, and I totally understand, I know Johnny doesn't want to say the S word yet. He's a bit scared of that word, but
exactly.
If you want to answer, and if you have an opinion on that, or what you think how the end of the season can pan out for Napoli, please, the floor is yours.
I'm not going to say anything, but I'll say the squad is capable.
All right.
That's a good answer. Good answer.
Good answer. It's up there.